All right, it's the Pop Tower Podcast. I'm Peter W. Dawson.
I'm James Bullock.
And we are here to talk to you about video games, television, and movies. How you doing today, James?
I'm doing pretty good, but I thought you were going to be today Peter Porkchop Dawson when you introduce yourself.
Well, I do love alliteration, but you know what I also love?
What?
Sandwiches.
Ah. Well, you know what they always say? Nothing makes a good sandwich like a good piece of octopus.
It's true. It's very true. I'm sure there's wharfs out there somewhere where they serve octopus sandwiches.
It's not a freak accident, is it?
Nope.
No. Well, I'm just going to close this out by saying right now, God help the hobo.
Yeah. Eating those octopus sandwiches.
Eating those octopus sandwiches.
Poor hobo. I was impressed how far you took that this time.
Yeah.
So, for those who, just in case you're not understanding what happened there, we were just referencing episode titles to the TV show we're going to be talking about later. But first we're going to talk about video games, and we're going to talk about a game that's actually very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. Although, not like, okay, it's not my favorite franchise, but it's one of my more nostalgic favorites. Like, it's absolutely a nostalgic favorite of mine.
That's for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be talking about Secret of Mana, because not too long ago we got the remake. I believe that was just in February?
Yeah, almost at the end of February.
Yep. So not that long, about a month at the time of this recording. And, yeah, the original Secret of Mana is a 1993 Super Nintendo game, which is itself a sequel to a 1991 game, which was released in North America on the Game Boy as just the Game Boy, as Final Fantasy Adventure. So technically this is Secret of Mana 2 we're talking about. But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to call it Secret of Mana, because we're not going to be those people. You know exactly what I mean, those people.
We're going to treat it like they treated us in the West, that's all.
Yep, absolutely. Because we are horrible, horrible Westerners.
Yes, and we are so stupid and dumb that they have to make everything easy for us, you know?
Absolutely. No, yeah, so the reason Secret of Mana is so affectionate for me isn't just the fact that because I had a lot of fond memories playing various RPGs as a kid on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, but Secret of Mana, of course, I played it after Legend of Zelda, so it reminded me of Legend of Zelda, which I loved. Mm-hmm. But it also was a co-op RPG.
Yeah, it really innovated in areas that was almost unheard of at the time.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, because...
I mean, if you didn't own a PC, it really definitely was unheard of.
Well, especially the fact that it's a 3-player RPG.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you got all this, all this cool stuff going on.
Yeah, you need that multi-tap.
Yep. It was basically one of a kind.
Yeah.
I can't think of another 3 or 4 player RPG anyway. I mean, I can think of some 3 or 4 player games.
Yeah, I can think of some more on PC, but like for consoles, especially during that time and that era, it was unheard of.
Absolutely. So yeah, but to get to the game itself, it's set in, I don't know if this world has a name.
Yeah, I don't really know if it ever did have a name.
I think it's just kind of
just a fantasy world.
Yeah, because the countries change quite a bit in between each game, but the basic premise doesn't really change that much. The whole thing is there's like the power of mana, which is the main magic of the world, and it can be corrupted, used for evil, etc. And the main way to access it is through the land of mana, and there's a great mana tree used to protect it. Basically, they use the word mana a lot. It's a very kind of mystical thing, because you eventually learn a lot of stuff about the nature of mana, etc. And there's a sword of mana. Like I believe one of the remakes of the original was called Sword of Mana.
Yeah, it was.
But they also called it Dawn of Mana. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
This is why we don't want to talk about the other games too much, because it's already confusing enough.
It's a whole thing. It really is.
But yeah, you follow a young man who is like the village loser, and he soon gets...
Oh yeah, he just gets banished. He literally gets banished out of his village.
Yep. just because he got bullied, and then he had to deal with the bullies by getting a sword, which ended up being a bad sword.
Yes. But that sword does help save the world.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Yeah, because the hero's named, the hero does have an official name. It's Randy, with an I.
Yeah, Randy with an I, yeah, but of course, just like all old school RPGs, you can change the names to be whatever you want, so if you wanted to change his name to Butt Sex, you could.
See, I didn't want to bring that up. But you immediately went straight for the sex joke. Come on, man. Have a little class. Have a little GD class.
Jessica Jones season 2, I'm sorry. It's all gone right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, he slowly gets involved in mystery, because you end up having, like, this kind of dark... You have this dark empire, so there's an emperor and there's his various henchmen, and they're going around trying to corrupt the mana seeds, which are located at the various temples around the world, each one guarded by an elemental being. Like, there's 8 in total?
Yeah, it is. So
And
you got the typical fire, ice, earth, and then, of course, we gotta go into the more darker RPG tropes.
Yeah.
To try to fill out the rest.
Well, yeah, because one of them is just, like, flat-out mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's light and dark, and, yeah, it just goes all over the place. Yeah, and along the way, he recruits Prim, who... Yep. I'm sure this is meant to be an ironic thing, despite her name is actually a very tough action girl type, who runs off to rescue the man she's in love with when her father, for some reason, sends him off to fight an evil vampire dude.
Yeah. The fact that her first weapons are like knuckle gloves is just amazing.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Well, you think she's supposed to, like you said, of course, the irony of it that her name is Prim.
Yep.
And then when the first thing you see when she's actually doing karate, like I was surprised.
I know, yeah, it's great. Like, yeah, because her default weapon is the knuckle. Like I said, Randy's default weapon is the sword. And no, and just to correct myself, he wasn't sent off to fight a vampire dude. He was sent off to fight the witch.
Yeah, the witch was in the woods. Yeah, those cursing everyone, and man, I just got flashbacks to Final Fantasy 15 now. Now I see where they stole it from.
Yeah, there you go. And then another one was, he also recruits Popoi, or Poppy, however it's pronounced.
Yeah, I never got it right.
Yeah.
I have no...
Who is a sprite, as in like a fairy creature. And he... I love how he's introduced. He's a freaking con artist.
Yeah, I love it.
He shows up in the Dwarf Village as a con artist who's helping to scam people by being like a pitiable being in a... I guess it's like a sideshow type thing?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a little... Yeah, that's pretty much that's it. Like, that's the... Because they have to go to the Dwarf Village, and that's like, hey, that's a main attraction for any travelers. Come see the sideshow. We had to spend at least $100 to see it, and of course you get robbed.
Well, yeah, because doesn't it also have like, behold, the mysterious Rabbite man, which is, it did not get too much into the game lingo, even though it's not that complicated. It'd be the equivalent of being like, behold the wolf man, and then there's a wolf and a man.
It's just a wolf.
And what happens when you put them together? You get a wolf man. But it's the two separate things just on stage at the same time. It was great. Yeah, so then Popoi joins the party, and he's got a boomerang as his default weapon.
Right, yeah, he's long range, and mostly based, that's your mage. That's really your mage, but it's also got long range, so...
Yeah, because Prim covers basically the white mage status, the healer, whereas Popoi is the offensive magic, and then Randy is just the physical fighter.
Right.
But he's also the leader, and of course he handles the inventory, etc. But there's not too much else to it. And like I said, the basic premise is just they travel around to the various countries and try to protect the mana seeds, and along the way they upgrade their various weapons and whatnot. The plot isn't that deep. It's very much focused.
It's pretty much prototypical of the time, especially when it came to RPGs during that era.
Yeah, like there's some plot, but it's not the most deep. Like there's essentially an evil empire, and along the way you pick them off. There's some character moments.
Chosen one, you have to stop it. That's pretty much it.
Yep. And half the time, the stuff that's going on isn't that elaborate. Like there's one place you basically just fly in, and it's like the king's like, "Oh, I wish I was the chosen hero, but I'm not."
Yeah.
and then he gives you a thing to upgrade your sword, and like, well, that's the end of that. Fly
I
off
know
to the
one
next
thing-
land.
Yeah. One thing we didn't touch on when we were talking about the gameplay, I forgot to even mention, it's real time.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we haven't because I mentioned Zelda earlier, but yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's a real-time action RPG where it's not so much about how fast you can button mash as how well you can time your strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Everybody's got a stamina meter.
yeah, and you can charge up your stamina for super strikes as well. And then like there's spells. Spells basically auto hit though.
Yeah, they do.
And
And
then-
a lot of times it will just stop the screen, and then if you have a perfect time spell, it'll work.
Yep.
Man. Once again, man, I'm thinking about Final Fantasy 15. They could have learned from this.
It really could have.
They really
mean-
could have.
But yeah, unfortunately, the design does kind of show its age, especially now with the remake. Because
Yeah.
like I still like the remake. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they didn't fully capitalize on some of the opportunities they had.
Yeah, and one of the biggest issues I had with the remake was the hit detection.
Yep, it really feels like the hit detection was not up to snuff, especially.
And not only like not up to snuff in terms of like hit detection, I actually made sure I saved a video of me swinging at one of the worm creatures, and I'm not hitting them. And it's not like okay, the worm creature dodged because it'll alert you when you miss because of a dodge. No, it was just going right through them for like a good 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is the problem when you convert from a sprite to 3D. You got to be very careful. And yeah, it's because the remake isn't all bad. I mean, like it obviously has better multiplayer support,
Right.
and it has some
a lot easier, a lot simpler to achieve now.
Yeah, and they have some fun DLC, with extra costumes and stuff like that. Which, I mean, whatever.
And I'm actually not that big of a hater on the actual art style. I know it went more anime compared to the sprite style, but I think it still captured the essence of the game.
Oh, it totally did. I mean, like the goofier moments is just stuff like the fact that characters speak, but you don't really see their mouths move.
Yeah, the mouse don't move, yeah.
Some of the voices maybe don't entirely suit the characters.
Yeah.
And yeah, just it feels kind of like a cheap remake, but it's not entirely because there's some effort put into it. But it also feels like because they also didn't upgrade the check to see what armor you have equipped, compare equipment type thing.
that was a really big problem. Like I always would save before I made any purchases in this game.
Yeah, because it just flat out doesn't tell you if the armor you're about to buy is better or not, which is a problem. I mean, weapons, it doesn't matter because you can only ever upgrade weapons because there's only...
Right, you collect orbs and you can upgrade your weapons through the blacksmith, so that's always easy, but in terms of actual armor, especially later in the game when the armor gets really, really pricey,
Yep.
it's annoying. It really is that you don't know exactly what's beneficial and what isn't until you buy it.
Mm-hmm. And the auto-hit magic can be annoying if you're trying to figure out when to time your heals. But you can that you can get used to. So I'm willing to defend that.
After the first couple of times of using it, you get used to it. Especially if they attack you, you get used to it pretty quickly. I really didn't have too much problem, even in the original game or the remake, with the magic system. But like I say, it just takes some getting used to once after you see it the first time.
Yeah, that's really about it. Because I mean, in general, it works pretty well. And the other thing, I did like that they kept some of the quirks with some of the weapons. Because I mean, I'm trying to think. So there's a sword, there's a spear, there's an axe, there's knuckles, boomerang, bow,
there's a bow,
whip, and a javelin.
Yeah.
I think I got all 8 because there's only 8 if I'm
Yeah, it's 8. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the ranged weapons are usually slightly weaker than the ones you can use to get up close, but they have various advantages. And the whip is one of and the axe are two of the most useful because the axe can specifically smash boulders.
Yeah. And the whip can take you across pretty much. They have little posts in between places you need to jump across, but you can't jump across, of course. So you use your whip, and you can whip yourself right across.
Yep. Yeah, it's an interesting RPG because it does take a few hours to really unlock the gameplay because you don't get all the weapons until you unlock your first magic, and that probably takes 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm about to say 3 to 4 hours or so.
Because you have to beat 4 bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have to beat, the first boss of the game, then you have to beat the one in the Dwarven area, and then you have to beat, the witch's tiger thingy or whatever.
Yeah, that was an annoying battle in either one.
Yeah. Well, because the first two bosses are easy, but then that guy's suddenly hard.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he can jump, and you can't hit him or anything because you don't
Yeah.
have any long range weapons. So
No, you have the bow.
yeah, but I mean, even then, it's still
It's
not
just not.
very effective.
No, it's really not because by that point the main weapons you can upgrade are the
The sword.
the sword and the spear because I think those are the only ones you have orbs for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's definitely the first boss battle to really make you consider, what can you do, and then from beyond there, there's just one more boss, and then you have your first magic, and you get all your weapons. So there you go.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like, I know a lot of people always complain about the difficulty spike that happens later on in the game, and it's funny. Like in the original, because if you play the Western version, I know it's the kitty. I always call it the kitty, which in the original version had the mallets for hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the remake, they go with the Japanese version. It has chainsaws for hands.
Yep.
And that was the hardest boss for me throughout the entire game.
You can see that.
Yeah, that was like the hardest one because the chainsaws completely changed the area and reach of that boss compared to the mallets. So it actually makes it very difficult if you're so used to the mallet kitty. But other than that, it wasn't halfway as hard as I thought it was going to be compared to the... I know they were saying this is going to be the Japanese version, so I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was, and thankfully it wasn't. So it's really a nice little old school RPG that you can sit down and enjoy, but it still has a strategy. It still has the, like I said, the very unique design for its time that even now certain games haven't even perfected it that still use real time in RPGs. Like, it's amazing that still here we are in 2018. This game came out, like you said, in '93, and it does. From a gameplay perspective, the aspect of action RPG is a lot better than stuff that comes out recently.
Yeah. And I just want to point out a fun trivia fact that the production team that was working on Secret of Mana also ended up doing some work on Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you end up with two games with protagonists wearing bandanas, etc.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think Chrono Trigger is ultimately the superior game. Secret of Mana is a pretty solid action RPG. Especially from the Super Nintendo era. And the remake, well, it definitely has some flaws, which I don't know if they're ever going to fix, unfortunately.
I don't think they will. I think what we got is the best we're going to get.
Yeah, it's still a fun novelty, and it's even on the Vita, which is pretty cool. And the expanded multiplayer is really nice because it's easier than ever to set up multiplayer now.
Very much so.
So I would still say I recommend it.
Now my big thing, since shockingly now I haven't gotten one, but I could if I wanted to because I looked around. There's the SNES Classic is available at like Best Buys around me. I still haven't picked it up yet. Which also, of course, comes with The Secret of Mana.
That's true.
And it's one of those things like, okay, would I rather invest in the remake or invest in not only the original, which is great, but also, a bunch of other games just for an extra... Like, the price of 2 Secret of Mana game remakes is the same price as the SNES Classic.
Well, consider this. If you support the remake, it may encourage them to make another Mana game.
Good point.
And maybe put just a little bit more effort into it. Cause I'm not...
or even have a bigger budget to put some more into it.
Yeah, because, that's really the kicker. It didn't feel like it just quite had enough effort put into it. In general, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing is, some people do prefer the original soundtrack to the new one.
We can use the original soundtrack in this one.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. This is what's kind of a moot point.
Yeah. One thing they took it out. They did they did with the original Final Fantasy X and X-2 remaster, where all they had was the remake of the OST, and then I know the PS4 version you can have either or.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did the smart thing. You have the option of switching if you want to.
Yeah. After all the issues they've had with other games where they've redone the soundtrack and it's not been for the better.
Yeah.
Or they didn't do the re-soundtrack at all.
Yeah, it's no
Final
point.
Fantasy VII PC.
I understand, trying to give a new take on things, but sometimes, no, just keep it. Just leave well enough alone.
Yep. But I think that about covers it. I don't know if there's... I guess I could mention the fun trivia fact that internet celebrity Little Karibo is one of the voices in the game. Because he's slowly becoming a more prominent voice actor, so he does additional voices, which is hilarious. Because when you've spotted, if you're familiar with his work at all, and then you listen to you hear his old man version, you're just like, ha. Because of course he does so much comedy. Hello, I'm an old man. I've locked myself in a right hole. He essentially does that voice.
Yeah, I definitely know that.
It's just funny to me. But, yeah, I don't think we have anything else to really say about Secret of Mana, no?
No, I think it's a solid remake. I think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's definitely room for improvement.
Exactly.
We're not gonna, pretend here, especially since we have the original to compare it to.
Right, exactly.
But, yeah, I think we'll move on to our TV, which again is gonna end up being a streaming show. In this case, Netflix's Jessica Jones, a.k.a. Marvel's Jessica Jones.
Yes, Marvel.
A.k.a. Jessica Jones alias. Or
A.k.a. the drunk around the corner.
Pretty much. Look, if the Punisher is full of Frank jokes, just because his character's name is Frank, Jessica Jones is full of drunk person jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so season 2 of Jessica Jones, which came out almost 3.5
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, really.
I'm trying to think. 2.5 years.
It was like the first full week of March. So it was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, because it came out on March 8th, which is International Women's Day.
Ah, yeah, you're right.
Which also happens to be my birthday.
Ah.
And I believe it's also Einstein's birthday. I could be wrong about that one.
Yeah, you just grasping the straws that trying to pull on.
No, I think this is on the 15th. My bad.
Yeah, Peter's like I was born on the day where we celebrate women and smart people.
No, you know
how did this tie into me?
Oh, actually, March 8th. You know what else happened?
What?
Mark Hamill got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
See, there you go.
Yeah, so I will totally take credit for that. We're not talking about that. What I was trying to make a comment on, because season 1 came out in November of 2015, and now
it feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, because it's about 2.5 years after the first season.
I think one of the biggest problems is the fact we've had so many other Netflix Marvel shows.
Yep.
That it helped the time, but then it still felt like, man, Jessica Jones is so removed from what we got to know from the first time, and then like especially when we go to Defenders. Yeah, it feels like she's been so far. It's just so far away from the Jessica Jones we got to know.
Mm-hmm.
Until now.
So Kristen Ritter, I want to mention, because I don't think I have on the show yet, I hated her in most of the stuff she's done. Like, I found her, Breaking Bad. She was horrible.
I was about to say, like, she's so much the same character all the time.
Yeah, she wasn't great in Don't Trust the Bee.
Yeah.
I think I saw her in something else that I hated her in, too.
Yeah.
And she's really good in Jessica Jones.
Well, I think the character actually suits her strongest points. I think that's why she's so good in it.
That's probably it. You're not wrong. The actress is probably, which is funny because like, if you ever watch Kristen Ritter like in real life, she's a pleasant woman, and she apparently does a lot of like quirky knitting type things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if her and Zooey Deschanel turn out to be friends. Let me put it that way. Which I think they actually legitimately might be. Yeah. So, and then she plays this just like foul-mouthed drunk who's just like, casually putting whiskey in her coffee. No, sorry, coffee in her whiskey.
Yeah.
One of those types of people. And she's also a detective. It really is kind of fun in that respect, because, I mean, like, Daredevil is ultimately, he's a lawyer, and he's a blind ninja. Whereas, and Iron Fist is like, what if Batman sucked?
Yeah. Oh, wow!
And then Luke Cage is like, what if the greatest man was roaming the streets?
Yes, just protecting people and doing the best he can do.
He's also a sensitive male prostitute.
Yes.
He's got to give it to the ladies.
He's got to. He has no choice. That's his lot in life.
Yeah. If he was into dudes, he would give it to the dudes, but he's not. So he's got to give it to the ladies.
Unfortunately, that's just how it turned out.
Yep. Sorry, gay dudes. So season 2 picks up after Marvel's The Defenders, but it mostly barely even addresses it. Really, it does a better
really
job.
Just ignores it pretty much completely.
It doesn't entirely, but yeah, it's mostly just a continuation of season 1 with the fallout of. So small spoilers for season 1. The whole thing is Jessica, superpowered being who got abilities through a mysterious accident that seemingly had her experimented on. She gets discovered by Kilgrave, another dude who got experimented on and has mind control powers.
Yep.
It's not even really mind control, it's more just like control.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because people remember what he did to them.
Exactly. He doesn't hypnotize you. Like, he literally takes over your body and your willpower.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and then Kilgrave, he used her for a time, and then she eventually got away. And the first season was basically entirely about dealing with him.
Right.
Which is one of the main problems that the first season had, was it was too focused.
Yeah, especially when we got to, like, the middle portion, and it was like, hey, we got him. No, we don't.
I know, because, look, we still got, like, 7 episodes left. Come on.
Exactly. It happened way too early. Like, we pulled the trigger way too early on that, and then you're left with this cat and mouse game that just feels so redundant. Yeah,
it's good. It's just because, I mean, David Tennant is amazing, and Kristen Ritter is totally in her element.
Yeah, they had a great chemistry. Like, it just worked perfectly, but it was just one of those things that we talked about in previous Netflix shows where that middle portion gets a little meandering and it just hurts it as an overall experience.
Definitely had a better opening than Punisher, but I mean, like I said, Punisher, the weakest part was probably the opening.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jessica Jones at least has a better theme song than some other shows.
It's the best. It's the best. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Daredevil one is possibly the best, but Jessica Jones is probably better than a Punisher in terms of theme songs.
I like Jessica Jones better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a toss-up. And then, of course, Iron Fist is the worst one, where it's like, look, let's do vague martial arts.
No, everything about Iron Fist is the worst one.
No. It has one of my favorite villains. He was not really a villain.
Right. You're right.
Because I absolutely love Ward.
The bad outweighs the good so much of that show that it's hard to give it credit for anything. But yeah, you're right on that one.
Yeah, and it has one of the best sidekicks who still becomes the worst.
We can't say the same thing about this season with Jessica Jones, where we could say who had the best villain, because that didn't exist here. Yeah,
so to get into it, like I said, we could follow up. So a lot of characters are dealing with tragedy, depressed. Everyone's sad, and the life sucks.
Not if you're getting high off of freaking mask stuff, off inhalers. Not if you're getting high off inhalers.
And yeah, like, it goes more into the government conspiracy, experimental genetic stuff that got Jessica her powers in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some red herrings along the way, and like, characters just kind of do stuff because they're like, why not? And I'm just like, no, wait, what? Seriously, why are they doing this?
Yeah, we definitely had those moments.
There was more than a few questionable decisions along the way, but like, I need to get this out of the way because I want to praise the hell out of this part.
Okay.
The focus with Ritter's performance as Jessica Jones is still phenomenal.
Yeah, hands down.
So no matter how much I complain about stuff later on, because I still think there's some stuff worth complaining about. But I don't think it's nearly as bad as Iron Fist. I would still say it's probably better than Defenders.
Oh, hands down. Yeah, definitely.
Like, it probably kind of falls into the same trap the other Marvel shows have fallen into. It probably falls somewhere around Luke Cage in terms of quality. Luke Cage.
You know the thing about it with Luke Cage, I thought there were the characters themselves that were so dynamic. They added a lot more to the story.
Yeah.
Like, even though, like, there were some parts that I didn't care for, I love the character so much in Luke Cage that I can kind of give it a little bit more of a pass, whereas in this one, especially with Season 2 with Jessica Jones, I think they had some good, strong characters, but the majority of those were the returning ones. The ones that were recently introduced, the new ones, left me wanting a lot.
Yeah, there's only one new character I kind of enjoyed, and you could probably guess which one.
No, who is it?
Oh, you really can't guess?
No, because I'm sorry to say this, but I'm like, I'm gonna hate on everyone.
Oh, really? Yeah. Alyssa. Janet McTeer. I thought she was actually pretty decent. Don't get me wrong. Like some episodes she was terrible. Some episodes she was really good.
Yeah.
But I genuinely thought overall she was a welcome addition, but she had problems.
Yeah.
Whereas,
honestly, I thought you were going to say the Wizard.
No. Oh, yeah. I like the Wizard.
I like the Wizard. I did actually like the Wizard. Wizard was one of those guys that I really wish they didn't take away from the show too early.
Yeah. Some characters get written out way too abruptly, and other ones is like, you know what?
That was like one of the biggest problems with this season, where it just felt like we started going one route. Even though like even though the main point was still consistent. Like we have to find out what happened to Jessica. What's this evil corporation that maybe is behind what happened to her, and all this stuff. Like that's still the focus throughout the entire series, but it just feels like it's this looming shadow that nobody can pinpoint.
Yeah, I know it just runs into the pacing issues that we had with the first season, and it doesn't have the focus because we don't have such defined threat.
Yeah, because your boy Price Ching just wasn't cutting it.
You know what sucks is the actor who plays Price is really good in some other stuff I've seen him in.
Oh no, he's a fantastic actor, but his character, my goodness, I hated it so much. And not in the way like I hate Trisha's mother. Kind of hate like no, this is a bad character.
There's nothing remotely interesting or fun about like at least with Trisha's mom Dorothy. It's interesting to see inside the psychology of such a person.
Right, because we know that there are people out here that act just like this.
Yeah, like, there's some interest there. Like, there's nothing interesting about Price. And, like, the other new characters, like, Oscar's not terribly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which is really annoying, because he's around the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's her nuts? Inez, she's not terribly interesting. And so you're left with, like, the most interesting characters being Jessica, Trish, Malcolm, and Jerry. You know, all characters from the first season.
From the first season, exactly.
Yeah, and then Alyssa, like I said, I would say she's probably the best of the new main cast members.
Yeah, I'll give her. Like I said, she definitely had her moments.
Yes, yeah. Like the big first scene with her in episode 6. I love the way that episode ended with her in particular.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff that goes on with her, especially with the character of Malice. Oh my god. Yeah,
for me, Alyssa just felt like Sabretooth.
Yeah.
I think that was like the biggest problem. She felt like Sabretooth.
That's essentially what she is in a lot of ways.
I understand it, but it just felt like it was one of those things where it was. And the same thing like with Ching, with Price, was the fact that it just felt like they went from. And I understand they explain exactly why she acts the way she acts, but it just feels like it was these hair trigger moments for her that logically, even if you're having these problems, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, but I want to get back to... I will say, the one thing I did appreciate about Alyssa, which actually ties more into Jessica's character than anything, is how much it played into Jessica's just psyche and the denial of what she had to do to get through Kilgrave. And like who she really is as a person.
Well, exactly, because, the psychology stuff, especially with Jessica, is so well done. Mm-hmm. And, like, I cannot praise that enough. Because, like I'm going to say, like, you know, the season is still worth watching. It's just...
it's a great season. Like, it kept me on the edge of my seat the majority of the time. It was just... The flaws were just very profound, that's all.
Yeah, it's like sitting down in a chair and it's like the chair from Get Out, you know, with all the cotton sticking out of it.
Yeah. It's a comfortable chair, but something just ain't right.
Yep, exactly. Or in this case, just replace the cotton with needles. You know, you don't want to put your hand down too quickly, but if you settle in just right, you'll have a good time. How's that for a metaphor?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was going to ask you, what about the side plot with Jerry? Like, what was your thoughts on that? Because
I honestly just didn't care much because it feels like
that was like the only skippable part for me. Like by the end of the season, I was actually skipping through the parts where she was featured if it didn't have anything to do with Malcolm or Jessica. Yeah,
because I mean, like her interactions with Malcolm were kind of like because Malcolm they actually did some interesting stuff with.
I really did enjoy Malcolm throughout the entire season. They did a great job with him.
They did some predictable stuff with him, but I kind of felt the stuff that they did with him was more because of the other characters he was interacting with.
Yeah.
Like, specifically Jerry, because her whole... She's getting sued and everything, and, like, everything's just going to heck for her because she's a terrible person despite being a ruthless lawyer, and it's...
The only thing I didn't appreciate with the handling of Malcolm is his addiction.
Yeah.
Because there's a pretty profound moment during, like, midway through the season. And the follow-up is pretty much non-existent.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't talk about that.
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, that's, in talking about, like, the flaws of the season, for me, like, that was one of the biggest flaws for me, because we know where he came from in the first season, and now we see how he's evolved in the second, and then this is big moment of him that he chooses to do something that really isn't supposed to be in his character going forward in his life, and there's really no follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the disappointing aspect of this season to me, because like there's certain moments that to me should have been a lot more profound than they were, and they just weren't.
Yeah, no, you gotta do follow up. Meanwhile, it's like Trish, we suddenly had this arc for her, and like didn't feel like half the moments were earned because it felt like they were doing it just because.
Yeah. Like I'll give her credit. I'll give them credit. They gave her a strong season finale, but. A lot of stuff leading up to it was really just kind of schizophrenic. Well,
the start I didn't fully agree with the start, and then it had some good moments in the middle, but even then it had some stalls. It's like this is the thing, like because it didn't seem to have focus. A lot of even the good characters that we like, their arcs just kind of go all over the place.
And I think one of the main reasons is that we didn't have a strong villain this time around.
That's really a part of a problem, because I mean, at least with Kilgrave, they could unify everything around him.
Yeah,
and
this Shadow Corporation just doesn't cut it. It really isn't. And I'm not going to say Alyssa's a full-blown villain either.
Well, she's totally not.
Right. I mean, we give her the initial impression that she is, and then we find out more, and then we kind of lose that feeling of, oh, we have a new villain. The next challenger has stepped up. But then we find out, no, she's not really a challenger at all.
No, there's a lot more going on with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, although one of my favorite things is just the fact that one of the characters introduced later on is a character named Ryback.
Oh, yeah.
I was, Shane Ryback, the man with the special hands. It's like a weird combination. It's like, it was called Ryback, but he talks about his hands.
Yeah.
Wrestling fans will totally get that reference.
Yeah, they'll definitely get that one.
Yeah, no, so it's still worth a watch. Like I said, the only Marvel show that hasn't really been worth a watch is Iron Fist.
Yeah, definitely, hands down. Like I said, there's Jessica Jones season 2. I think is not as strong as the first one.
By far,
yeah. I think it's not as strong as the first one, but I wholeheartedly feel that it's a lot better than it could have been, considering the limitations of what happened during the end of season 1 coming into season 2, and then of course with the Defenders and everything else. Like, they could have really ruined Jessica, but thankfully, Kristen Ritter, I mean, just the fact that she did such a wonderful performance to hold the whole thing together is enough.
Oh no, yeah, she is delight. I take back most of the bad things I said about her when I watch her other shows. Not all, because you always got to keep a little bit of that with you, but in general, yeah, no, she delivered and it was great. It's just like I said, it's just a shame we can't prop up the entire show on that level. But what I think was cool was weren't all of the directors women?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I know they're wrong. Yeah, Anna Forrester did a couple of shows, a couple of episodes.
Yeah,
and I know we actually had some female head writers too.
Well, yeah, because Melissa Rosenberg has always been the head writer,
right?
I recall. I believe she did both seasons. So, yeah, there's been some male writers too, but and that was just kind of a thing that happened because I think they set out trying to make sure they had female directors get because it's a very female centric show,
right?
And they ended up with all female directors, but that wasn't necessarily their intent, so that was kind of neat. And
it doesn't feel like it's pandering either. That's the thing.
No, and most of the direction, I think there was only a couple episodes where the direction felt slightly off, and that's probably from the newer directors.
Okay.
In general, I thought the direction was at worst fine. So there you go. Women can direct. I'm not sure if anyone was ever protesting that fact.
Yeah, I didn't know where you going with that one, honestly.
No, exactly. I
just kind of went silent on that. I was like, I don't know exactly where to go with that one.
I was purposely leaving a pause for comedic effect. If I had cricket noises, I would play them. I'm pretty sure we can't play those without you get in trouble with the cricket lobby, though. So it's like you can only talk about cricket if you're talking about the sport. Good times. But any more thoughts on Jessica Jones?
No. Like I said, solid season. I think it wasn't as strong as the first season. I think that I really don't. My biggest thing right now, I don't know exactly where they're going to go with season 3. I know they have some. They've given us some vague potential moments and ideas, but I really don't know exactly where they're going to take season 3.
Yeah, I guess they got to really unravel what's left of the conspiracy plot because there's still some stones left to be unturned there.
Right.
But I mean, they definitely answered some questions, which is nice because I mean it would have sucked if we went through a whole season and we still didn't get any answers on that.
Yeah, could you imagine if, like, it ended on episode 12?
Oh God. Yeah, it would not have been great. But I think it's time to talk about something else that features a strong, independent woman. Let's talk about Tomb Raider, the movie. So this is the third theatrical outing for the character of Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider franchise. It's a reboot, so it's it doesn't use the first 2 movies that were done featuring Angelina Jolie and a bunch of actors that you didn't realize were going to become important until way later. Like the first one having Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones, Daniel Craig from James Bond,
right?
And then the second one had Gerard Butler pre-300. Just as some examples.
Mm-hmm.
And now this one stars Alicia Vikander. Is it Vikander or Vikander?
I believe it's Vikander. I can't even say it. Vikander, I think.
Yeah, because isn't she Swedish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so however you pronounce that. Yeah. She went to the... Okay. She lives in England, but she also has a residence in Portugal. She was born in Sweden, and she went to the Royal Swedish Ballet School.
There you go.
As well as the School of American Ballet. And also she's married to Michael Fassbender. Just to get all the trivia out of the way.
Yeah.
Because might as well.
And she can't punch.
Wow, shots fired.
Yeah, hey, I'm just saying what the movie told me, that's all.
Alright.
I'm just going with the movie told me.
Alright. Yeah, so in this case, it's kind of a loyal adaptation of the Tomb Raider origin story.
The Tomb Raider, was it 2013 game?
Yeah, which itself had some elements in the original games, or in the earlier games as well, but like it was their attempt to coalesce it, and there's always been a rotation back and forth if they want to focus on her father or her mother. I mean, like some of the later games before they did the reboot tended to focus on the mother, but then we got more
about the mother in the first Tomb Raider games, and then it switched to the father post the 2013 one. I mean, 2013.
Yeah, and the dad was also a big deal in the original movie back in, was that 99? Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of been a rotation thing. So, in this case, it's Lara Croft, daughter of Richard Croft, and she's a bike courier who gets the call to adventure when her father's business...
Yeah, just to emphasize that, for all those who have, played the games in the past and know, the history of Tomb Raider, Lara Croft is not rich per se in this one. She's really down on her luck when it comes to this movie. But it's just really funny seeing her scrambling for just a living quarters in this movie, considering what we know about her character from the video game and even from the previous movies.
Well, yeah, especially because we see her mansion and some stuff.
Yeah.
And then she had a freaking hologram from the future as her butler. That is a subtle reference to the actor who played her butler in the original movies. Yeah. But in this case, she's down on her luck, but she's told about she has to claim her inheritance of her father's estate. Mm-hmm. But it's questionable if her dad's even dead or not, and there's a whole thing. And eventually she decides to go on the path to figure out what's up with her dad and what he was looking for.
Yeah, because of course he leaves a message to play if he is dead.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's a classic adventure trope. I mean, you see this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, I'm dead trope.
Oh yeah, of course. And in this case, we get the story of it revolves around Himiko, which I believe that came up in one of the games. Was that the 2013?
That was from the 2013 version. Like it was so much about the 2013 game that's in this movie.
It's true. Yeah, more than anything, that's probably the biggest thing they draw from. Although it seems like they cut out some of the characters from the game.
But that was a big thing that I wanted to bring up too. I know, since we're already bringing it up, the fact is that she kind of had a crew. She had a crew of people with her in the game that went to this island to find out what was going on. Whereas in this time, it's just all about Laura, and then her crew just comes together.
Yep. Well, as it happens, I mean, it's in a game you have more time to develop more characters because
I mean, even when the game though, they didn't really develop the characters too much. It was
I'm talking about theory. I'm not talking about
reality.
Because I think we had this conversation before that I really didn't like the plot of the 2013. Like in terms of the substance, the bare bones were fine.
It was more built on for you, like you saw, was the fact that it was built on. Hey, see how much Laura can take, and now support her.
Yeah. In this case, it's she's trying to be a strong, independent woman, but she's still new at this, and she's been down on her luck, but she just wants to prove her do her family proud and all that stuff.
But does she really though? Like,
no.
I mean, to me, it's like that whole thing about her. I'm trying to find my father, and if it comes to be, it comes to be kind of situation. But it's almost like, hey, I've learned these things as I've lived, and now becoming this person. Whereas, like in the Tomb Raider game, it was really a focus her trying to live up to the legacy of the Croft name. And really, in the film, it's like until the very, very end does she like proclaim, "Hey, I'm so proud of being a Croft."
That's true. I don't know. I'm just trying to because this movie's kind of the polar opposite of what, like, well, that's not true. Like, the plot just wasn't that engaging, but
it
the
was a action movie. Like that's what I felt like while I was watching. I was like, this is just a prototypical action movie, which is. It's almost funny because I say this knowing that it's so much like the actual video game.
Yeah, I know. It didn't really do too much with the plot, and it just kind of made some efficient cuts here and there. Had some good quirky side characters, but ultimately it's kind of shallow. I mean, like, it's not bad by any stretch. I mean,
not at all. No,
nothing really worth hating in this movie. Believe me.
No, not a bit. That's the thing. Like, it's a solid action movie that. Yeah, there are certain aspects that you will say, okay, that's really ridiculous, especially around the third act where they pull something directly from the video game. That that's kind of takes away the realism of this whole adventure, but it is what it is. Tomb Raider's always had those aspects to it.
Yeah,
I mean, you've had to fight a dinosaur, so yeah. But like that was the biggest thing to me. It was like walking away feeling like, okay, yeah. It did a good job establishing Laura for a potential sequel, but I don't necessarily care too much to see a sequel because this was just a prototypical action movie.
Yeah, they sequel bait so hard, but there's not enough unique about it aside from the fact that it's a Tomb Raider adaptation. Even then, we've had two before. Like, this is probably the best Tomb Raider movie, but it's still not that great. It's just...
Yeah. Like, if you took away the Tomb Raider name and Lara Croft as a character, I don't think anyone would care about it.
No. It's just... It's frustrating because this is by all... It's super competent. It's just not that next level. It's not ridiculous enough to be charming like a Fast and the Furious movies.
Or the original Tomb Raider movies. Like, it's not that level of, hey, this game is so absurd, let's be absurd as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was battling robots and freaking weird statue men, and then at the end
the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies were bad video game adaptations, but they made for fun movies because they were just so stupid.
Yep. And, like, she's got a love interest, but then he dies, and she's like, whatever, I'll save your life, but then I won't really care about you later. It's like, okay, that's different, and she can basically becomes a god at one point, but then rejects godhood. Like, a lot of stuff goes on there. And in this case, it's just like, well, there's a tome.
Yep.
She raids it.
She figures out a few puzzles here and there, and people die.
Yep.
And honestly, that's one of the biggest aspects I hated about the movie, is Laura's inability to kill people, then her ability to kill a person, then her ability to not care about killing people.
Yep, they didn't really have much of an arc there.
No, it was like, okay, I cannot kill a person. Then it's like, oh my goodness, I have to kill this person because it's self-defense or I'm going to die, and it just rocks my very core. Then it's like, nope, bow and arrow to the head every time.
Yep. Yeah, thank God they never tried to do that with Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
You know, say what you will about him mowing down hundreds of enemies.
Yeah. And then doing a joke afterwards. Like, he's Archer. Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's Archer.
I know, it's like, no, now it's a party, but in this case, yeah, it's just like, well, I have a hard time. Soundtrack was kind of sweet, though.
Man, Uncharted. You wacky game.
I like the music.
I'm sorry to say this, man, but did Walton, who was playing Vogel in this movie, did he remind you of like Sam Drake when you saw him?
Yeah, Walton Goggins plays what the hell is his character's name? His name is Vogel, right?
Yeah, Vogel. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I actually remembered his name without looking it up.
Yeah.
That's better than some other movies.
Enough times you should have remembered it.
Yeah, that's true.
It was that con, like, Vogel, like, so many times during the movie.
Yeah.
But, like, when I saw him, and it was like, to me, he was like evil Sam Drake.
Probably.
Especially with the hair. It was like evil Sam.
Well, that's just unavoidable. It is kind of a shame that Walton didn't really... Like, that's kind of the kicker, because we have... Two of the main characters in this movie are played by people more known for TV work.
Yeah,
really good TV work, but they can't seem to, deliver in the movie fashion for some reason. Because, we haven't really talked about it, but yeah, Richard Croft is played by Dominic West, who I keep forgetting is old enough to play someone's father in a movie.
Right.
Because, because I love The Wire, so I keep watching. I'm like, McDulty, how can you have an adult daughter? How old are you?
A grown daughter looking for you now.
It's like, McDulty, you can't do that. You're barely 40. It's like, oh, wait, you're almost 50.
No, not anymore.
I keep forgetting how old Dominic West is. That happens. I don't even remember how old Walton Goggins is. He's got to be like 50 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to be.
I'm actually going to look that up right now. One second.
Yeah.
How old is... He is actually only 46. He's younger than I thought. There you go. But then, of course, we had...
What about good old Nick Frost? Like, that was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie was his appearance.
Well, yeah, because he nailed it.
He's just perfect. Absolutely perfect.
It's like Peter Serafinowicz in John Wick 2, right?
Yeah.
He's the quirky guy who helps kid out the hero. And you just need enough character there to make him interesting. And Nick Frost had it in spades.
Yeah,
in part because he had a quirky wife.
Yep.
And they were a solid double act.
Yeah, they were good. They were good comedy. That was a good comedy piece.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Like I said, it's a very adequate movie. It's just unless you're a person who which probably won't happen in this day and age. It's like, all right, I only have a collection of 15 movies, and one of them is Tomb Raider. You're probably not going to rewatch it that much.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, come to think of it, I think they put it out at a bad time. They really put it out at a bad time because considering, okay, we're coming off of Black Panther.
Yeah.
We got Pacific Rim is happening.
Ready Player One's
coming out. They should have really maybe pushed it to the summertime.
Yeah, I don't know when they should have done it, but this isn't it's still made over $150 million already.
Yeah.
So it's made its budget back, but
it just was like a summer popcorn action flick. That. Yeah. They really should have saved it for the summertime.
Oh yeah, totally. It helps that it's spring break now, at least in where I am.
Mm.
So. They'll probably get some spring break audience, but even then, just like, do you want to watch a woman roam through the jungle, or do you want to watch robots punch each other?
Yeah, especially one that's based off a video game that maybe you don't even care about playing.
Yeah. And then, of course, like I said, we got Ready Player One in a week, which looks pretty solid.
Yeah, it's getting great reviews.
Yep, and there's even a cast crossover, because Hannah John Carmen, who plays... one of Croft's friends in the in Tomb Raider is also in Ready Player One.
Oh, okay.
I believe she plays like one of the head hitmen for the bad guys in that one. But I didn't see the entire cast breakdown, so I can't be sure.
Okay.
I know Ready Player One did a thing where, like, they adapted a good chunk of it, but they also changed quite a few things.
Right.
So the heart's still there, but a lot of the details are different, so who knows. But back to Tomb Raider. Which, unfortunately, I've already drifted off, which should tell you, well, look,
it's solid. There's nothing much more we can say about it without spoiling.
It's just, we've seen so many action movies.
I know, that's the thing.
It doesn't really do anything that fresh with the tropes. And then there's the sequel bait. Like, honestly, the only thing I hated was how hard the sequel bait.
Oh my goodness, yes. Especially if you actually know about the Tomb Raider games and everything. It was just, wow, that was really, really strong arming sequel bait.
It might as well have been like, someone saying, as like, I will face you again in the sequel.
Yeah, I was about to say you should have had like that big question mark just shoot up on the screen when it has the end, and then all of a sudden the question mark shoots out.
And then you hear evil laughter.
Yeah.
You gotta have the evil laughter, otherwise that question mark is no fun.
Vogel's arm somehow shoots up. It's like, no, he'll be back again,
Yep. I'll be back. Yeah.
Solid movie. That's the thing. It's a solid movie.
Solid movie, solid cast.
It's not going to stick with you once you walk away from it. Honestly.
No, I barely remember any of the set pieces except for some of the ones at the end, just because they were more ridiculous and felt more like right out of the video game, which they were. This is the problem. I mean, like, you got to find a way to.
Like I said, I think that's the biggest problem, especially for somebody who's actually played the game. If you've invested, enough time to actually play the remake, the 2013 reboot. Yep. You've experienced this in a better form than the movie can offer.
Yeah, although I did love the boat captain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Wu was pretty great.
Yeah, get off my boat. I'm going to shoot you. And it was legitimate too. Like I love that. It didn't feel hokey. It didn't feel like legitimately. This girl just swung onto my boat with people chasing her. Of course I'm going to try. Of course I'm going to be upset about it.
That's actually probably the closest thing it has to a unique moment. It's just like, the ally who is actually like well done and like, it's like, I need your help. He's like, no.
Yeah, like he wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
He wasn't movie stupid. He really wasn't.
Yeah. No, I guess if you're interested in it, see it.
Yeah.
But if you don't think you're gonna like it,
I think it was
don't
one
even
of those
bother.
movies that is exactly what I expected it to be and nothing more.
It's absolutely whelming.
Right. A solid movie, and that's all I expected from it, and that's exactly what I got, but it's nothing I'll be thinking about come the year end.
This has been an interesting week because because we talked about 3 different things that there was plenty of stuff to knock, but I mean, none of them were really that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything. It's like if you had to say out of 10, like everything's a 7.
A 6 or a 7 easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably call Tomb Raider a 6, but I mean, then that's still above average.
Right.
I
might lean toward maybe an 8 for Jessica Jones, but more than like I'll stay with a solid 7.
No, I totally say 7.
Yeah.
I got no problem. I mean, I'd like to give it an 8, but I don't think I can.
Yeah.
And like with Secret
Man, okay, Kristen Ritter, like you did such a great job. Like I want to give you an 8.
Oh, yeah. Like no, nobody did a bad job in any of this. It's just
everything was solid. We just had a very solid offering from video games, TV, and movie.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it really did something ultimately to, it didn't pull a Dread, it didn't pull a, I can't even think of it, it didn't pull a Fast and Furious, I would still prefer to watch it over any of the Transformers movies, especially the recent ones.
Wow, that's so true.
Because it's like, oh, maybe this will be entertaining because it's so bad. I'm like, oh wait,
no, it's not. It's just bad.
We got the long conversation about how long it's been since he's had sex. Why? Why? Why are you doing this why is it still going? Anthony Hopkins, come on, man. Just, be in better movies. Yeah. But on the subject of Anthony Hopkins asking you how long it's been since you had sex, I think that's where we're going to call it.
That's where...
Not today, man. Hopkins. Not today. So I want to thank you for joining me today, James.
Oh, man. That was something. I guess it would be, wow, I guess I can't even follow on upon that. Really, I can't.
Did you never see that scene in that
No,
movie?
no, I'm just saying I've seen it, but it's just like, just so random to put that together with Tomb Raider and Jessica Jones and Secret of Mana.
Well, I wanted to remind people that oh, no. If you think any of these are bad, which you shouldn't, because they're absolutely not, let me remind you what real bad is.
Right?
Even then, we haven't touched on one of the worst films of all time, which I won't even name in this. Well, until next time, folks, this has been the Pop Tower.